Hello, everyone, and welcome to our discussion for today. Our topic is all about the components of the cell and its function. So, what is a cell? Since elementary, we have already encountered this word, and maybe right now we have already mastered its definition. So, for a quick review, cells are the basic unit of structure and function and are known as the building blocks of life. They come in many shapes and sizes. Some cells are covered by a cell wall and others are not. Some have slimy coats or elongated structures that push and pull them through their environment. Some cells have a thick layer surrounding their cell. This layer is called the capsule and is found in bacterial cells. Before we discuss the cell components and their functions, let us first tackle the cell theory. First is all living things are made up of one or more cells. Second, cells are the basic unit of structure and function in organisms. And third, all cells arise from pre-existing cells. The scientists carefully documented the behavior of chromosomes during cell division, or what we know as mitosis. So first, each chromosome copies itself and the duplicates line up at the equator of the cell. Then duplicate copies of each chromosome are pulled toward opposite poles. Finally, the cell splits at the equator, producing two new cells with identical sets of chromosomes. That is where the third theory came from. Have you ever wondered what the inside of a cell looks like? If you think about the rooms in our homes, the inside of any animal or plant cell has many similar room-like structures called organelles. Each organelle is a place where specific jobs are done. So for a more specific definition, cell organelles is a tiny cellular structure that performs specific functions within a cell. It is like an internal compartment that carry out specific cell functions. They allow the cell to grow larger and become more specialized. The first organelle that we will tackle is the nucleus. So nucleus is the control center of the cell. It is the largest organelle in the cell and it contains the DNA of the cell. DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid and it contains all the information for cells to live, to perform their functions and reproduce. Inside the nucleus is another organelle called the nucleolus. The nucleolus is responsible for making ribosomes. Next is everyone's unforgettable organelle, which is the mitochondria. Everywhere we go, when we are asked what is mitochondria, we can answer right away that it is the powerhouse of the cell. It is called the powerhouse of the cell because it is where energy is produced. It is also a site for aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is the process by which organisms use oxygen to turn fuel such as fats and sugars into chemical energy. The mitochondria produces ATP molecules, or what we know as adenosine triphosphate molecules. It is an energy-carrying molecule found in the cells of all living things. Next is the endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER, which is a network of membranes throughout the cytoplasm of the cell. There are two types of ER. The rough ER is where protein synthesis occurs, and smooth ER is to synthesize lipids in the cell. The rough ER contains ribosomes, which makes it rough, while smooth ER does not have ribosomes. Ribosomes are organelles that help in the synthesis of proteins, so their main function is to make proteins. Ribosomes are made up of two parts called subunits. Both these subunits are necessary for protein synthesis in the cell. When the two units are docked together with a special information unit called messenger RNA, they make proteins. Some ribosomes are found in the cytoplasm, but most are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Next is the Golgi apparatus, or what we know as the Golgi body. Golgi body is the organelle in the cell that is responsible for sorting and correctly shipping the proteins produced in the ER. So just like our postal packages, which should have a correct shipping address, the proteins produced in the endoplasmic reticulum should be correctly sent to the respective address. It is a very important step in protein synthesis. This organelle modifies molecules and packages them into small membrane-bound sacs called vesicles. So vesicle is the organelle that helps store and transport products produced by the cell. They are the transport and delivery vehicles like our mail and other shipping trucks. Some vesicles deliver materials to parts of the cell and other transports materials outside the cell in the process called exocytosis, which is the process of moving materials from within a cell to the exterior of the cell. Peroxisomes collect and safely break down chemicals that are toxic to the cell. Those oxidation reactions produce hydrogen peroxide, which is the basis of its name. Lysosomes are organelles that are created by the Golgi apparatus. They digest waste materials and food within the cell. Lysosomes break down excess or worn out cell parts, and they may be used to destroy invading viruses and bacteria, like how our white blood cells protect us from those. Plant cells contain vacuoles, which is an organelle that contains large amounts of water and stores other important materials such as sugars, ions, and pigments. So in short, it is the storage of the plant cell. Next is the chloroplast, which is the organelle in which the photosynthesis takes place. In this organelle, the light energy of the sun is converted into chemical energy. The chemical energy that is produced by chloroplasts is used to make carbohydrates like starch that get stored in the plant. Next is the cytoplasm, which is the fluid portion of the cell. The cytoplasm acts as a buffer and protects the genetic material of the cell and also the cellular organelles from damage due to movement and collision with other cells. So just like the animal and plant cell, the bacterial cell also has their own distinct organelles, which are the nucleoid, plasmids, and the flagellum. The nucleoid has no protective membrane but is tightly packed DNA material and also has some RNA and proteins in it. Plasmids are small DNA molecules that can hold extra genes that may be used when the cell experiences certain conditions. And the flagellum, which is the tail attached to the main body of a cell that can rotate to move the cell forward and is the reason why the cell moves. So in the following pictures, you can find other parts of the animal and plant cell and their differences. And that is all for today, guys. Thank you for listening to my presentation and see you again soon.